So I bet you were searching YouTube for how to maximize your finances and you came across this video. Can you believe 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck? And 1/3 of millennials are making over $100,000 and still living paycheck to paycheck. This is simply uncalled for and irresponsible. While income may certainly be an issue for some Americans, the average American does not have that excuse. We make way too much money in America to live paycheck to paycheck. Today I'm gonna walk you through exactly what you need to know and show you some whiteboard examples of how to set up your finances. Also, before we start, hit that big red subscribe button below to subscribe to my page to see more videos like this every single Monday. It will help me to continue to put out videos for you. And if you want to grab the course behind what we discussed today that provides the exact templates, it's all in the show notes below. So let's get into a whiteboard example. Alright, so let's walk through the financial statements and what you need to do to have a full comprehensive financial plan, right? So you need 3 key financial statements: a budget, a balance sheet, and an amortization schedule. You have to have these 3 cohesively working together for your finances to be on track. So most people stop right here. They think budget's everything you need and they forget everything else. But let's walk through everything, all the components, and then also we'll walk through the flow of how these work together. So number 1 is the budget, guys. The budget is the simple thing that you probably all know of, but we need to figure out how to get this number to 0 at the bottom. So let me explain. A zero-based budget. We want our fixed income. There's some components right here, right? So there's a few components. Let's say 5 components. Fixed income, which is your salary or hourly wage, your fixed known income that's coming in month to month. Maybe your variable income as well, you would add that to the picture. Maybe that's a side hustle. Maybe that's a bonus that was unexpected. Something that's not always a month to month type of thing. Then we have fixed and variable expenses, which are things like a mortgage, maybe a car payment, maybe utilities, maybe some variable expenses being clothing, something you're not really expecting to buy month to month but may buy from time to time. As we go and get more history of our budget, this variable expense becomes more apparent to what we're typically used to. We want to subtract out one-time expenses on top of that. So one-time expenses being maybe a wedding, maybe a big car purchase. And for these items, we want to use a sinking fund. We want to prepare for these items to come up so they don't hit us in the head when they all of a sudden appear. And we want to subtract out savings and investments. And that seems weird to a lot of people because that money is going right back to you. But for the budget, this is a cash flow document. We are focused on cash flow here. And where this cash flow is going to is the key. So if we're giving ourselves money back, we're putting it in our pocket, but that's going to eventually show up on our balance sheet, and the cash flow is going, directly to those goals that we may have. So once we know the budget, we need to hop over to the balance sheet. Now the balance sheet is really kind of your starting point to where you know exactly your net worth at a given date. So as of 6/30/2022, for example, you will know your exact net worth. And you usually update this on a quarterly basis or so. So let's just put up here, as of 6/30/2022. Most companies, public companies, are going to be on a quarterly basis, every 3 months, and they're going to say, what is our net worth at this date? And then on 9/30/2022, this net worth number should be positive. If we're doing things right and we're hitting our goals, this net worth number should continually increase. Now, with the markets being down and things of that nature, your assets might subtract, liabilities might be fixed, so your net worth could go down from quarter to quarter, but the goal is obviously a positive. We always want this to be positive. Every single quarter is kind of the goal. Now, assets and liabilities on the balance sheet. The difference between these and these are extreme, right? So an asset might be it could be cash on hand, it could be a car, the value if sold, which is key, and then also let's say a house, and then maybe some investments. So investments, and excuse my writing, it's not too great. You have these assets, let's say, on your balance sheet. That's just an example of a few. Now, our liabilities below they could still be a car, right? They could still be a car and a house. So let me explain. Your car, the asset would be the value if you sold it. The liability would be the total liability on that car. Let's say you bought a car for $20,000 and you owe $15,000. The difference is how much equity you have in that car, the portion of net worth, $5,000. But you only have $20,000 value and you still have $15,000 to owe. Let's say your car payment is on the budget and that's a fixed expense right here, And that might be, let's just say, $200 per month. So you know, I have a $200 a month car payment, but really I have a liability of $15,000 and I could sell it today for $20,000 if I wanted to. This is in snapshot your net worth and on your balance sheet. Now, every liability on the balance sheet comes into the third part of the financial equation, right? So every single liability on the balance sheet needs an amortization schedule, which is our third financial statement document that we all need as a comprehensive, full financial plan. So all these do is tell you the timeline to the penny and to the date of exactly when you're going to pay something off. You will know exactly. And where this comes into play is when you start to get creative with your goals. And we'll go through the flow of everything in a second. But if you throw an extra $200 to this and you enter it into an Excel spreadsheet with an amortization schedule, it will automatically update to show you how much that saves you in maybe debt payoff time. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 12 months, whatever that may be. This will update for you so you have a clear snapshot into what every single liability is going to cost you, as well as in principal and interest, and maybe if you're talking mortgage, escrow and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to show you the exact date. So now that we know the general, financial statements that are involved, these three: budget, balance sheet, amortization schedule, let's figure out how to work these cohesively together to really get the best bang for your buck when it comes to your finances. So we always want to start with the balance sheet when we're thinking about flow. We want to know where we're starting, our starting point, and then also where we're trying to get to. And everything in between, we need to understand where that's coming from. And that typically comes from the cash flow that's on your budget. And you want to make sure that this cash flow flows into this balance sheet in accordance with your goals. You're starting here, your goals are here, and you know, based on this situation, exactly what you need to do to accomplish these goals in between. Using this cash flow, now we want to kind of look at this and kind of assess the picture, right? So maybe we look at this cash position and we realize, you know what, that's a little heavy. Let's start here before we even mess with the cash flow. Let's bring this cash flow down quite a bit. Let's, maybe we have $25,000 in cash on hand and we want to pay off our liability of our car. Maybe that's our goal. Maybe it's to pay off our debt. So we want to decrease our liability here and also decrease our cash position. So therefore, our net worth is really not going to change because we're decreasing everything. But at the same time, the key here is to accomplish the goal in the most efficient manner. And a lot of times this cash position can be used before you even get to the cash flow position. And so now once we have that set up and we're like, hey, we optimized our cash, maybe we got rid of like a Robinhood investment that was like $500. We just, we didn't want that anymore. We moved it to maybe other investments. So we kind of realigned and shifted up the balance sheet. We go back over here to budget and we figure out, okay, our fixed income and variable income, maybe we want to increase that and stuff. Of course, you always want to increase your income, and that's the goal. But maybe, that's pretty solid. You've done a pretty good job here. And so really we need to focus on these three components. Now, our savings and investments, hopefully we want to increase that. But maybe our goal over here is not to pay off debt. Maybe our goal here is to increase our Roth IRA contribution. So we know our car payment right here is $200. If we're able to pay off our car, maybe that's our first thing, is aggressively pay it off using an amortization schedule. Once we don't have that car payment, this $200 will shift down here. So now we have less $200 of fixed expense with a car payment, and now we're allocating that $200 to our savings and investments to accomplish our Roth IRA goal. Now this $0 balance here is going to continue because we just shift numbers around here to ideally make this zero. That's the whole goal of this. Now, the amortization schedule is going to come into play if we're realizing, hey, we have a car payment, it's going to take, let's say, 3 more years. If we throw $200 extra per month to it, it might shave off a year. So we know maybe our debt payoff goal is 2 years away. Whatever that may be, everyone's situation is going to be different, but using this document here. Then once we know that's done, we can then assess and say this $200 is now going to go to investments. This is our goal here. And so everyone's situation is different. I have a great video on should I pay off debt or should I invest? Check the right hand corner of this video to watch that one. But in this situation, that's what you do. You would basically move your cash flow into the balance sheet in accordance with your goals, and this would be a snapshot of your goal progress right here, your net worth as of this specific date and every quarter going forward. So you can always track your net worth. It should always be growing. You're using this for accuracy, and you're using this to align your balance sheet and your goals with your life. And so this is optimized for the cash flow. Guys, that's a snapshot. Obviously there's a lot of gibberish on the board right now, but the key here is to make it very, very simple using these 3 documents. And you go from there and you consistently are updating these things. I would say this is, like I said, every 3 months. This is a one-time thing, and this is likely, if you do things right in accordance with my process that I teach on my budget, no more than 30 minutes per month. If you're spending more than that on here, on this whole picture, you're spending way too much time on your finances. So we can optimize this process. A lot of this stuff is automated. We shouldn't have a lot of manual stuff going on. We see what we want, we automate the process, and we go on with our life. That's the goal behind our finances. I hope you enjoyed that whiteboard example. So remember, finance is very easy. If you make it complicated, you just need that framework and some guidance. The framework will simplify and also enhance your money tenfold. And as a reminder, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click the subscribe button below. And lastly, I would love to hear your thoughts on the process that we walked through today, and I will make sure I get back to every single comment as always, and I will see you in the next video.